a tale of love, silence, and history rewritten. During the twilight of the Tang dynasty, when the empire was crumbling under the weight of rebellion and rot, there reigned an emperor whose wisdom held the realm together by fragile threads. They called him Renzhao, the sage on the throne. But not even sages can escape the secrets that live beneath their crowns. This story is not found in official records. It lived in whispers, in ink never meant to be read aloud, and at the heart of it was a woman named Zhao Yue. Zhao Yue was not born into nobility. She was the daughter of a low-ranking clerk in the Ministry of Rights. But what she lacked in pedigree, she made up for in brilliance. Before she was 20, she could recite the Analects from memory, write with the elegance of a court calligrapher, and, most dangerously, think like a man in power. Her gift was her mind, and her curse was being noticed. When Renzhao was still the crown prince, before his name would become synonymous with virtue, he often disguised himself and walked among the scholars in Chang'an. It was in the scriptorium of a Buddhist temple, hidden from court eyes, that he met Zhao Yue. She had been transcribing sutras for the monks in exchange for access to banned texts. He saw her across the courtyard, brush in hand, correcting a centuries-old mistranslation in silence. He was smitten, not by beauty, though she possessed it, but by the way her thoughts carved through tradition like a blade cloaked in silk. What began as idle conversations on ink and metaphor became shared verses on moonlit parchment. Over time, those verses deepened into something more dangerous than love: trust. When Renzhao ascended the throne, he summoned Zhao Yue to the palace, but not to his harem. He made her something altogether more rare: his imperial scribe and secret keeper. Hidden from the court, known only to a handful of trusted eunuchs, Zhao Yue transcribed royal edicts too volatile for release, documented private negotiations with warring provinces, and, most intimately, maintained a personal journal written in the emperor's own voice, a record never meant to be read by anyone but his future heir. Behind a jade screen in his private study, her calligraphy became the soul of the empire's conscience. For 5 years, she lived like a shadow within the Forbidden City. Her name was never announced. Her meals were delivered in silence. And yet, within those walls, her presence was undeniable. Ministers wondered why some laws changed overnight. Generals suspected someone read the battlefield reports before the emperor. They never imagined the hand behind the ink was a woman's. Then came the fire. One autumn night, the Southern Library, the vault of the empire's secrets, erupted in flames. Witnesses claimed to have seen masked men slipping through the corridors just before the blaze. Scrolls turned to ash. Statues cracked under the heat. And Zhao Yue, who had gone there alone that evening to review a sealed decree, vanished into the smoke. No trace of her was ever found. The court blamed unrest in the southern provinces. Arrests followed. But those who looked closer knew something was wrong. Renzhao did not mourn publicly. For 40 days, he withdrew from sight. No words, no decrees. Silence was his grief. 3 moons later, a quiet law was passed. Henceforth, no woman shall serve within the imperial archives. And with that, Zhao Yue vanished from memory. Her name erased, her work reassigned. Those who once relied on her chose denial over danger. Or so it seemed. 20 years passed. The aging emperor, preparing his son for succession, summoned him one summer night. Behind the jade screen in my old study is something you must read. The crown prince obeyed. Hidden behind the screen, wrapped in silk, were not just imperial journals, but Zhao Yue's letters. At first a few, then hundreds. They told of her silent life in the palace, the truths she preserved, and the betrayal she uncovered, a plan to remove her, hidden beneath the fire. Among them, one final unfinished note: "I do not fear the end. I fear being forgotten by you. But even if the world does not remember me, I know that you will." The prince confronted his father. "Why did you never speak of her?" Renzhao replied, "To name her then would have endangered others. I chose silence, so her truth might be found by you." "But her name isn't in the records." The emperor closed his eyes. "Then write it. Let truth, not fear, decide what survives." When Renzhao died, no word of Zhao Yue was spoken at his funeral. But in the revised annals, the new emperor added a page. "There once was a scribe of unmatched heart. Her name is not recorded, but her words guide every honest line this archive preserves. And beneath the hall of records, sealed in lacquer and silence, her letters remain. Not for today, but for the future, brave enough to speak her name."